Welcome to Deck Analysis and Testing. Today we have a look at Sacred Beast. Sacred Beast are like the Egyptian gods of Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, except they actually have good support cards and all three of them can be played together, and the new box has some of the best support. The main goal of the deck is to cheat out the big guys, give them target immunity, draw 2 every turn, and sit on some amount of hand traps and or back row. If you open well enough, you can also have a spell negate as well. Before we look at the cards, let's have a look at the new skill that makes the entire deck work. You can only use the skill second and third effects once per duel if your deck contains all 3 of the Sacred Beast. And you cannot special summon except from the extra deck, effect monsters except for Sacred Beast, and monsters that mention Sacred Beasts. So the second effect is reveal 1 Sacred Beast from your hand, shuffle 1 other card from your hand into the deck, and then add another Sacred Beast or any monster that mentions the Sacred Beast. And if your opponent has a card from their graveyard or field, you can shuffle back a monster from your hand or field and play a Sacred Beast directly from your deck in face down defense position. And that is really good if you go second, you just get a free guy. Anyway, let's have a look at the monsters. First are the 3 Sacred Beast. We have the Raviel, which is a 4k attack monster. The effect doesn't really matter. We have Hamon, which is another 4k attack monster, which effects don't really matter. It has a burn effect, which is pretty nice, so this is probably the best of the 3 Sacred Beast, and also because it allows you to have a spell negate, which we will talk about later. And also, if it's in defense, your opponent can only attack this Hamon and cannot attack anything else, so if you have attack position Dark Beckoning Beast, your Hamon will protect you from being attacked. And we have the worst one, which is Uria. And the reason why it's the worst one is because it usually has no attack, because it has it gains 1000 attack for every trap in your graveyard. So if you go first and don't have any trap in your graveyard, you just have a 0 attack monster on the field. But it does allow you to pop back row, so it is useful sometimes. If you go second, you can just make this in directly from your deck using your skill and just pop a back row before you commit. But usually it's pretty bad. And finally, for the technically not a Sacred Beast, but basically a Sacred Beast, is the powered up version of Raviel. This does not count as a Sacred Beast for your skill, but it does have a pretty useful effect if you have a Raviel on your field to double its attack and make it able to attack every monster your opponent controls, and by discarding this card during damage step. And also you can add this back to your hand every single turn by just tributing a monster on your field, and this is pretty useful for tributing a face-up attack position Dark Beckoning Beast, which doesn't do too much while it's on the field. And for the small monsters, we talk about Dark Beckoning Beast first. This is the main searcher of the deck. It's pretty good. It lets you have an additional normal summon, and you'll use that on Chaos Summoning Beast, which we'll talk about in a moment. And also, when it's normal summoned, you get to search anything, including spell traps, which is pretty useful, because the skill and also the continuous spell only searches monsters, so this is your main way to actually get your spell negate, which is a continuous spell. Next we have Chaos Summoning Beast. This is the main way you're going to cheat out the big guys from your hand. You can normal summon this after you normal summon your Dark Beckoning Beast, because you get an extra normal. You can tribute this card and just cheat out any Sacred Beast from your hand, and also you can immediately afterwards banish this card from your graveyard and search the field spell, which is just broken. And finally, for the remaining 2 monsters, we're playing Skullmeister just because usually your back row is quite clogged. Usually you're going to have 1 opening of Spirit Gates and maybe 1 Cerulean Skyfire, so usually you'll have 1 zone left in your spell and trap zone. So hand traps are preferable over more back row. And also you can just return them to your deck using a skill, which is pretty nice. And also we're playing 2 copies of this card. This is a Pendulum that is basically a free draw, but it also has a pretty good synergy with the skill, especially because the skill says you cannot special summon monsters except from your extra deck. And also, this card can special summon itself from the extra deck, so it doesn't actually lock you from summoning itself. And so what you can do is, by just playing no cards in the extra deck, as you can see we're not playing anything in the extra deck, you can, if you have this card in your opening hand, you can scale this, pop itself, draw a card, special summon it from your extra deck, and then if you're going second, return this from your field back to the deck, and then get a Sacred Beast for free. So it's pretty good for synergizing with the third effect of the skill to cheat out a Sacred Beast from your deck, just by returning the Pendulum from your field back to your deck. So that's pretty nice. So for our spells and traps, we have Opening of the Spirit Gates. This is one of the new support that we got from the box. It is another searcher, which only searches monsters annoyingly, but it's still pretty good. And also, it has 2 other effects. Once per turn, you can discard one to special summon a 0 attack and defense fiend from your graveyard. It's just free link material, usually. And also, it gives you some form of follow-up. And also, once per turn, if you control a level 10, you can add back a continuous spell from your graveyard to your hand. It can be another copy of itself, or it could be discard. Cerulean Skyfire is basically a spell negate if you control a Hamon. And it also has some other effects, including if you're going to summon Hamon using its own method, which you will never do, you can also use face down spell cards, I guess. And also, if your opponent activates any spell trap effect, you can, on resolution, negate the effect and switch a face-up attack Hamon into face-up defense. And also, if any of your Sacred Beast leaves the field, you take no damage until the end of the turn, which is pretty nice. If your opponent can play through your untargetable big beaters, at least you don't die this turn, and you may be able to recover next turn. And next we have the field spell. Fallen Paradise is really, really broken. This is a field spell that makes all of your Sacred Beast untargetable, which is really good on its own. And also, once per turn, if you control a Sacred Beast, you just get to draw 2 cards for free. No cost required, just draw 2. So, about like 1 or 2 years ago, I forgot. So, we used to have access to discard through a skill, a older skill, that basically gives you access to the field spell, but banishes it during your next turn, so it doesn't let you draw too many cards. And also, to activate this, you need to like return 2 cards from your hand or field to the deck, which is really bad. But now you just get this for free, which is just insane. And it's just rare. It's not even like a super rare or an ultra rare, so just really good. And anyway, if you control any of your Sacred Beast, this card is just really insane. Next is some generic back row. We have 2 copies of Cloak and Dagger and 2 copies of Time Space Trap Hole. It could be anything, to be honest. Okay, let's have a look at the expensive version. We are actually playing an extra deck in this version because we are not playing the Pendulum. Because the entire reason why we play the Pendulum in the free-to-play version is because we don't have enough starters, so we need more consistency. But in the expensive version, we are playing triple Dark Beckoning Beast, and a 2 Opening of the Spirit Gates, which is really good for consistency. So basically, this deck has 8 1-card starters. We have the 3 Sacred Beast, we have the 3 Dark Beckoning Beast, and the 2 Spirit Gates. So that is quite a good ratio in a 21-card deck, I guess, in this scenario. And we're just playing good hand traps like Effect Veiler and good back row like Book of Moon. These could also be just more hand traps depending on the meta, but I just like Book of Moon. And usually you have 1 empty spell and trap zone, so you can use that for a Book of Moon. And for the extra deck, we're just playing rank 10s and the rank 11 cannon, which you can rank on top of rank 10. And just good generic links like Nightmares and Linkuriboh and Rastaliger. It could be anything. You don't even need an extra deck, as you can see in the free-to-play version. Okay, let's have a look at the replays. First of all, we have I presume it's Tachyon player, and we're going first, and that's pretty good. And we do open with the starter, and also an additional card that we can use to search the spell negate with. So we're gonna use the Dark Beckoning Beast, and that's like the only way we can get to the spell negate, so we're going to use that to search that. And then use the opening of the spirit gates to actually search the Sacred Beast. And then we can just summon Chaos Summoning Beast to summon the Sacred Beast, banish it to grab the field spell, draw 2, set 1, and end turn. And as you can see, we are quite clogged in the back row, so that's why preferably we play more hand traps in back row. So stuff like these could still be used. But it will make a Dingirsu, which is annoying. We can spin it back, but I mean, it doesn't target, so they can just send the field spell, and then they can just still combo off. They're gonna normal summon Seifert, Nebula Dragon, to summon both the Nebula Dragon and the Spiral, and then he's gonna try to make Xyz monster. He's gonna make Tachyon, and then he's gonna try to rank up. But we still have the spell negate, so we can use that on the rank up. We're gonna negate that by switching it to defense, and now our opponent cannot attack the 0 attack monster before attacking the Hamon. That's pretty nice. But without the field spell, they can just pop the Hamon. But by popping the Hamon, we also get to trigger the second effect of Cerulean Skyfire, so we don't take any damage this turn. Next turn, we're just gonna normal summon Dark Beckoning. Our opponent will activate the Transmigration to negate it. That's fine. We still have the spell effect to summon from grave, and then use a skill second effect to shuffle back the monster to summon free Sacred Beast. I guess it's like the third effect of the skill, but it pretty much is a second effect. Anyway, we just activate the second field spell, draw 2, set 2, and now we're back in the game. Our opponent has 1 card in hand, 1 Seifert, and can pretty much do nothing, and he's just gonna scoop. Game 2, we are facing against Blue Eyes, and we are going first. Again, in case you haven't noticed, this deck is a lot better going first, because you can set up your startup combo and have disruptions, but it's still not bad going second, especially in the expensive version if you're playing a lot of hand traps, because not only do you have, hand traps, you also get to use the skill second effect to get a free guy. Anyway, we have our starters, so let's just do the same thing again. This deck is not difficult. You just basically just summon a big guy, activate the field spell, draw 2, and set back row. So, all things considered, this deck is pretty good for new players. Although you do have to get the pickup box and get your copies of Dark Beckoning and Summoning. But I guess, in terms of like a new player perspective, the new box isn't actually that bad. It's actually pretty good, because you also get Unchained, which is like a really good free-to-play deck. Anyway, our opponent will be normal summoning the Dragon Spirit of White, annoyingly banishing our Cerulean Skyfire. If they destroy it, we can add it back with our Spirit Gates, but if they banish it, we cannot, which is annoying. Okay, so here you can see how the Pendulum interacts with our skill. We're going to set the Pendulum as a skill, draw a card for free, and then summon it to our field for free, and then return it back to the deck with the skill second effect to cheat out a free Sacred Beast. We're just going to attack, and then in a damage step, we're going to discard our big Raviel to make our normal Raviel 8,000 and just win like that. In the third and final game, we have a Ra player, and we're playing the expensive version. Oh boy, this battle will be legendary. Our opponent is going first, and we actually don't have an out to Spheres pass, so all we could do is basically just wait until the Spheres just attributes itself or banishes itself, because thankfully, the Winged Dragon of Ra skill banishes any face-up sphere modes that isn't summoned this turn. So they cannot just stall forever with a face-up sphere mode. But anyway, they're still going to be able to summon the Ra, send Phoenix to the graveyard, and then summon the sphere mode in the end phase. Thankfully, they don't have the trap in the graveyard, otherwise it would be a lot more difficult to actually play through their stuff. So now it's just a sphere mode, set card, and nothing else. We're gonna normal summon Dark Beckoning Beast. I did a bit of a misplay here. I should have searched one of the Sacred Beasts, so what I wanted to do is to use the spell to search the Sacred Beast, but now because he MST'd my spell, we actually don't have any Sacred Beasts in our hand. And that's really bad, because we cannot do anything without a Sacred Beast in the hand. So just a tiny misplay, but yeah, we can still at least summon another guy and then use our skill to cheat out Sacred Beast, but we should have had another Sacred Beast on the field if we didn't misplay. But anyway, we're gonna just have a big Sacred Beast set to and hope for the best. I'm gonna summon a Ra, we're gonna flip that face down, and then this Tribute Summon Genzo, okay, and that triggers Immortal Phoenix. Thankfully, they, for some reason, don't send my monster to the graveyard, so we can just flip our own monster face down and not die. So thankfully, we're still alive. And next turn, we do have a starter, so we can do everything all over again. But having a face-up zero attack monster is just not very good, so we have to find a way to get rid of it. But thankfully, we will be able to. We're gonna use the Dark Beckoning Beast to summon the Chaos Summoning Beast, and then attribute it to summon the Hamon. And then draw 2, and then have the spell negate up, and that will be really useful for our opponent's Monster Reborn. We're gonna use the second effect of the continuous spell to summon back a monster from the graveyard, make a Nightmare Phoenix, pop that to Sun God to prevent them from having a way to send the Ra to the graveyard. We're gonna crash our Phoenix so that we don't have a low attack monster on the field because we are low in life points. Our opponent just has another one, which is honestly fine because we can just, yeah. He activates Monster Reborn, and we can negate that, and also he's out of targets in the deck, so both of the Ras are in the graveyard, so he cannot actually tag out with Sphere Mode. So the Sphere Mode is just dead on the field, and as we negate the Monster Reborn, he just doesn't have an out, and he will be scooping. Oh boy.